tomorrow. But my man Will Z hanging out with us here. Will, I feel like we haven't talked in a while, man. So it's good to talk, good to catch up. We'll talk a little Kings basketball here as you've been working over. This is National Media's Will Z. Of course, he works for SI covering the Sacramento Kings. And right now, everything regarding the Kings is trade rumors and hypotheticals. And it feels like both of those start with DeMar DeRozan, which will be a common theme over the course of the next hour or so. Are you also of, I asked Jake Gaden the same question. I know how Matt George feels. Are you of the belief DeMar DeRozan is not wearing a Sacramento Kings uniform next year?
I think so. And like Jake said, I think it's from multiple perspectives, both from DeRozan's side and from the Kings side. And for me, what I'm trying, especially this early in the offseason, I'm trying really hard to look at like what the Kings really need to do in terms of fit a little bit more. So last year, I think they just fully disregarded fit. We all know it didn't work out. So looking at DeRozan, we don't know what Doug's offensive system or scheme is going to look like yet. After a full offseason and with his coaches and training camp and everything. But I think we have some clues. And I think it's safe to say he really wants to be a high volume 3-point shooting team. He mentioned it a lot as interim head coach, where he wants even up to 50 3-point attempts per game. And that's just not almost mathematically even possible with DeRozan on the team. So looking at just why it makes sense for everyone involved, for DeRozan, I think being somewhere where you can kind of contend a little bit more or be that kind of final piece to bring a roster up what he was supposed to be for the Kings last year, just try that somewhere else. And then for the Kings, just bring in a player that's hopefully got that length and athleticism that we need, but also fits more of what Doug wants to run on offense, which to me is leaning towards that 3-point shooting.
Mm-hmm. You feel like the Kings are missing a lot, or it's
yeah,
you do?
Yeah, I do. It's yeah, it's not.
So
I
it's not like we're not fine tuning things here. Like we need to rebuild, not rebuild in that sense, but we've got to overhaul some things here.
Yeah, because you look at their roster right now. I think they have 8 players under contract, and I'm writing an article. I'm taking my time on this one because I want to do it right. But if you look at their contracts for next season that you have already, you have between those 8 players on under contract already. I think 4 of them are shooting guards and 3 of them are centers. So
Good.
you've got
Awesome.
Levine, Keon, Monk, who I'm counting as a shooting guard because I think Monk sees himself as a shooting guard based on his postseason exit interview. And Terrence Davis is under contract for next year too. And then you've got Sabonis, Valanciunas, and Isaac Jones as 3 centers. And those are centers. They're not like small ball 4, like true centers, I think. And then DeRozan is the other contract, and Keegan. So 9 total, if that's the right math. But it's just so stacked in terms of where you have all of the players that if you trade DeRozan for a starting 3, great, you still need a point guard. If you trade DeRozan for a point guard, great, you still need a 3. And you still need another backup 4. Do you want to bring back Trey Lyles? Do you want to replace him? There's so many little things that I love looking at hypotheticals, and especially during the offseason. Like, it's so fun to do. I haven't found anything that makes sense to me and is like, that's my top idea. I haven't found it yet.
I hope Scott Perry has.
Yeah.
I'm
getting paid a lot more than me, so I hope so.
You mentioned like you love these hypotheticals. You love, going through these different things and finding out what the best fit is, especially this early in the off season.
Mm-hmm.
Given that the Sacramento Kings, they don't they have a second round draft pick, but they don't have a first round draft pick. That will change. They certainly don't have a lottery pick. I think that does affect like the approach to the draft. I wonder how many in the front office are running through similar hypotheticals that you are, trying to figure out. Obviously, they're working with a greater level of intel than any of us are, but hey, we know this is going on here in Denver. I talked to such and such's agent. We may have this. I wonder how much of it really is just a big board with a bunch of names on it and like different probabilities. Like, hey, we've got a really good chance at getting so-and-so here. We've got a really good chance of getting so-and-so. Not so much here, but we're inquiring, we're poking around, we're trying to figure out things. And then putting that all together, trying to figure out, okay, what's the best outcome for Sacramento?
Yeah, and maybe that's almost easier too, where if you don't need a single specific need, which I think they did last year and they didn't get it, but you have so many more options to look at. Like they're gonna you get one chance to bring in like the top tier player that you want, probably. Like of you can either choose, now they have the choice of, is that going to be, are we spending big money on our point guard? Are we spending big money on the 3 and keeping Keegan at the 4? Or are we spending big money on the 4 and putting Keegan to the 3? So maybe that's almost better for the situation where they're in terms of like retooling, is they have more options on their big board because there are more points of need. And then you just kind of fill in the gaps around it. So I don't know.
And the problem is there's a lot of gaps.
There's a lot. Yeah. And they don't have a lot of money either. Like,
and that's a great point, Will, because that's where it feels like Scott Perry and BJ Armstrong and that new front office staff being somewhat aggressive in the trade market could be important to how they build this thing out with quality players.
Yeah. Do you think it's feasible for them, or maybe do you think they will have Keon, Monk, and Levine all on the roster next year? Because to me, I love all 3 of the players individually. I don't think the 3 work as a combination. And again, we're talking money and playing time.
That was a question to me. The answer is no.
Yeah.
And of the 3 guys, I think Malik might be traded. That's not intel reporting. That, like, I'm answering your question. It's an opinion. Yeah. Keon is so different than anyone else on the roster. I think trading him or not re-signing him, I guess, given his contract situation, that you're absolutely losing something.
Yeah.
With Malik, our thing with Malik, especially going into that contract negotiation was, man, he really feels like almost a spiritual leader of sorts. Like he's a vibe guy. He brings so many like intangibles to the game in addition, to what he does on the floor. Then he started, and it didn't really go the way everyone wanted.
Yep.
And then he got hurt, and Doug just never started him again. Like he didn't go back to the starting lineup. And it was like, oh man. And it's not questioning whether Malik wants to be here. I don't even want Malik traded.
Yep.
But when you talk about guys who could have an impact on another team, when you talk about guys that other teams might find attractive, now that the price is set for him, it could have been a little bit different last offseason. When the price wasn't set, you didn't really know what you were working with. And you ultimately he signs back with Sacramento. I don't know how many teams were really truly vying for him. I believe Detroit was, but at a cost slightly higher than what Sacramento wound up paying him. But now that the price is set, you might feel more comfortable going, like I think Malik could be really valuable for what they're doing. Yeah. You know who could use Malik right now is the Denver Nuggets. Like they could use Malik Monk right now. So Levine's contract is going to steer a lot of teams away. I do not think the Kings should entertain losing Keon Ellis, and that leaves, in the scenario you presented me, one guy, and it's Malik.
And that's where you started kind of seeing a path to a balanced roster, is Malik, for basically take out Malik and DeRozan and bring in another point guard and another wing. And like, that's how you get the money. That's about $40 million, a little over between the two. split that up however you want between those two positions, and you can kind of see it starting to come together a little. But man, it would hurt to lose Monk.
Oh yeah,
Fans, like, you
yeah.
gotta
It would
handle that one.
emotionally,
Yeah,
yeah, that would sting. Yeah, that
after
that that
everything
would
last
definitely
season.
sting. Though I'll say it feels like there was a slight shift last year. Malik was, it was all vibes those first 2 years, but now all of a sudden the team isn't growing, the team isn't
Mhm.
getting better. We begged and pleaded for him to start, and he did, and it didn't really amount to much. And then he just kind of got in a position where he was trying to be the leader. He was trying to be the distributor. He was trying to be the point guard. He was trying to be the scorer. He was trying to be the Aaron Fox. He was trying to be Malik Monk. He was trying to be all sorts of different things. And it was like, yeah, that's not him. That isn't going to
Yeah.
work. And if you move Malik, if that's a decision that Scott Perry and this front office makes, a salute. You better land a player in one of those position groups, Will, that you just outlined that works and works immediately.
Yep.
Like, not a gamble, not a risk, not a hope, not a prayer. You better hey, this guy is going to work with Domas, Keegan, Keon, Levine, whatever. This player is going to work here. That's why we're making this move. Whether it's off the bench, whether it's a Trey Lyles position, whether it's a Malik Monk position off the bench, it better be in one of those position groups, or it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Man.
There's a lot ahead of us. And of course, everyone's doing the same thing you're doing, because that's the part of the season we're in. Like, there's only a handful of teams left playing basketball. We could, lose the Denver Nuggets tonight. We could have the conference finals, set here over the course of the next 48 hours. Have you seen a trade proposal involving Sacramento that really got your attention and you were like, I kind of like this one?
I like the Norman Powell one a lot too. I know you guys have talked about it a lot already, but like, Powell can go, and he's another type of player who I think would fit what Doug wants to do perfectly. High volume 3-point shooter, can let me pull up his numbers.
There's probably an extension conversation to be had with him too. Like, that would be a thing to really be able to pull that off if Los Angeles was maybe sketchy about the idea, or maybe didn't want to go into that kind of financial situation where Sacramento could be like, oh, no. We feel very good about offering Norman Powell a contract extension.
Yeah, and I'm totally cool with trading DeRozan for Powell. Would you trade Monk for Powell? Because I think they're both around $19 million. So the trade would feasibly work for either player.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, so Powell,
me, Will,
yeah,
you could trade anyone on this roster to me.
Yeah. 7.1 3-point attempts last year. So just kind of pairing that with Levine and Keegan, I think gives you a really good 2-3-4 in terms of 3-point shooting. And then bring in like a true facilitator type as a point guard. So that's probably especially the most recent one of all the Matt George ideas from yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever he had his podcast out. I think at this point that stood out to me the most. I haven't seen others that I love. There's a lot of like Orlando. No one interests me really. I don't think Houston would. I don't see them wanting maybe DeRozan, but I don't see the Kings getting back who we would want for DeRozan from Houston. So nothing huge that stood out in terms of specific ideas.
There was a Laker one out there. I don't think this was Matt's, but there was, maybe it was. I don't think it was Matt's. Matt had a Laker one. I can't remember what Matt's Lakers one was, but there was one that involved DeMar and Valanciunas going to the Lakers, because obviously the Lakers. We talked about this. The Lakers and the Warriors are going to be chasing centers.
Was it Dorian Finney-Smith and Gabe Vincent, the Lakers one?
Oh, that was Matt's.
Okay.
That was Matt's. There was another one that centered. I think it was on Rui Hachimura.
Yep. Rui, Connect, and Gabe Vincent.
That's it. Hate it.
Yeah.
I hate that one.
I don't know how I feel about Connect anymore. Like, he's still so young. I
Yeah.
don't know, just very up and down season.
Poor guy was
But
almost traded. I'm gonna give him
yeah.
a little grace. Like almost traded. The poor guy was traded.
Yeah.
And then they were like, that actually,
Yeah.
never mind. Like, we don't want that guy anymore. He didn't pass
Yeah.
his physical.
I think I'm kind of out on Rui, where
Mhm.
the idea of him I think is better than the actual. I
Man, I
don't
think
he
there's a
has.
lot of players on the trade market that are that
Yeah.
fit that description.
Yeah, you're just not getting any. Like, you're moving 2 high quality pieces in DeRozan and Valanciunas and that, and like you're getting 3. You're not getting. Are you giving up the 2 best players in that deal of the
In
5?
my opinion, yes, because
Yeah.
Valanciunas is like they're going to
Mhm.
start Valanciunas at center.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that's
am curious.
Valanciunas is a starting caliber center. He has been his entire career.
Yeah, that's another thing that I've wondered is, would you trade Valanciunas? Can you trade Valanciunas if you
I,
keep Sabonis?
No, if you spend all of this time, it feels maybe the Kings didn't. Certainly, Kings fans did. They've been
Mhm.
begging for
Yeah.
Valanciunas to be here forever. Like, no, and unless you have something that, just gets your attention, like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
yeah. I'm not trading Valanciunas. You better,
Where I'm at
especially
too, I
with as
think.
thirsty as the Lakers are going to be thirsty. They might do too much. The Warriors are
Mhm.
going to be thirsty. They might do too much. Like, nah, I got a starting quality center on my bench right now playing behind Domantas Sabonis, who plays entirely different than Domantas Sabonis, who might work really well in different matchups, who we can occasionally play together. No, I'm not that. He's not a trade piece to me. He's
Yeah.
not something you add to something like, oh, here, this makes the money work. Like, nah, you better, if I'm trading Jonas Valanciunas, my team, the Sacramento Kings, they're getting better. If I'm trading
Yeah.
Jonas Valanciunas, you're sending me something back that's making my basketball team better. You ain't getting him for nothing. No chance.
Yeah. And I lied. I do have an idea that that I like. I wrote about it, I think, last week. What are your thoughts on CJ McCollum? I
I
think
love
I I would love it, I think. Like,
So
I
give me a
think you
couple.
could do. I don't know if the Pelicans would want DeRozan, but it works straight up. Like, you could trade DeRozan and McCollum, so even it out with picks, or like I would maybe throw in Carter. I don't know. I'm not too high on Carter. Um, but I still see his potential. Like, eh. But McCollum
Let
again.
me let me let me
Yeah.
let me ask a difficult question. Why? I was going to say
Why
David Griffin.
for the
David was
Kings?
fired. I can't remember who the general manager is for New Orleans anymore, or the new general manager is for New Orleans. But
Isn't it Joe Dumars running the show now?
oh, it is.
Yeah,
That's right. Thank you. It is Joe Dumars. I'm Joe Dumars. Will, why would I do that?
So for that's a good question. I think okay. So I don't know. That's tough. I'd have to
Yeah,
think
you would.
about it.
Yeah, I don't think if I'm Joe Dumars, I would. Demar, I think Demar has a market,
Mm-hmm.
or I think Demar will have a market. I think it'll be very small and very exclusive. And I think both LA teams can be involved because both LA teams have a potential to win to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
I also think other teams, and I can't think of. I mean, maybe in addition to something larger, maybe Houston finds something involving DeMar DeRozan attractive. They
Mm-hmm.
could have used a guy getting them a bucket against the Golden State Warriors. I think his market is really shrunk to teams who believe a guy who can consistently get you 20 and get you a bucket when you desperately need it will help us get over the hump. Now,
Mm-hmm.
whether that hump is into the playoffs, whether that hump is into the second round, the conference finals, whatever it may be, I think there's a very specific team or very specific types of teams that will go after DeMar DeRozan, and then you throw in the two LA teams, which I think will, and maybe you could throw in Miami too. Like I don't know where Miami is going or what they're doing, but I know that they had interest in DeMar DeRozan last summer.
Yeah.
outside of that, I don't know why you would do it unless the Sacramento Kings throw in something else. Draft compensation somewhere to where it's like, so in the CJ situation, it would be New Orleans trading really for the draft pick and the DeMar DeRozan money working and them sending him back in that sense.
Yeah, and I do think that looking at the Pelicans lineup, like DeRozan with Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, and Zion, like that's pairing DeRozan with a lot of the things that the Kings didn't have. So I would probably go at it from that angle where you bring in DeRozan, who can get you a bucket, and you're surrounding him with defenders and versatile players. So probably something around that. And then you've got Alvarado and Murray as the point guards, who are both plus defenders. Like you're taking DeRozan and he fills a need. He fits a prototype that you don't have already on the roster. So something like that, like thinking about it for a little. But again, I know I made a lot of people mad with the CJ idea. He is a shooting guard, but I think he feels like everyone's getting mad nowadays.
Welcome. Oh, yeah. Oh, Kings fans are on edge, man.
Yeah.
Kings fans are on edge. It's all right. It's all right. Kings fans are on edge, though.
But if you have Sabonis still on the team, I don't think they need a like true point guard. I think McCollum is the type of point guard, and he's played point guard, like straight up point guard for the Pelicans since he got there. He's the type of point guard where he's not out there just to pass or just to handle the ball. Like he can do those things, but with Sabonis, I think works best when he is the one facilitating the offense more. I could see the type of like shooter point guard work around him that McCollum is, but all this is fun, like for fun. Like it's not going to happen.
That's all it is, man. Scott Perry has to play real life general manager though for the Sacramento Kings. Will, great catching up, man. I appreciate you as always. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Yeah, happy to be here and good to be back.
Yes,
see you
sir.
guys.
Thanks, Will. That's our man, Will Z, right there. I'm sorry, that is